All right, so we've got a listener request to dive into gold IRAs.
Okay.
Specifically, someone's thinking about adding some gold to their retirement portfolio,
Yeah.
but they want to understand how these gold IRAs actually work.
Sure.
And, what's the deal with these custodians you keep hearing about?
Right.
So I've got this article here from Gold IRA Blueprint called "What is a Gold IRA Custodian and Do I Need One?"
hmm
It was published on December 3rd, 2024.
Okay.
And I think this will be a good place to start to unpack all this.
Yeah. I think you're going to find this pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, a gold IRA lets you hold actual physical gold, like coins or bars,
Yeah, wow.
for retirement, which is pretty different than, just your typical stocks and bonds.
Yeah.
So there's this whole other layer of rules and regulations involved.
Okay, so walk me through this.
Sure.
If I decide to go for a gold IRA, what am I getting myself into?
Well, essentially, it's a self-directed IRA,
Okay.
which means you have more control over your investments.
Mhm.
But with that control comes responsibility
Okay.
and a whole lot of IRS regulations.
Yeah.
So you can invest in various IRS-approved forms of gold,
Okay.
like coins or bars.
Got it.
But you absolutely cannot store this at home.
Okay, so where does the gold go?
Well,
I'm picturing like a safety deposit box or something.
yeah, that's not going to fly with the IRS.
Okay.
Nope. The IRS requires that any gold held in an IRA must be stored in an approved depository.
Okay.
And these depositories are specialized facilities that meet these stringent IRS standards for security and record keeping.
So it's like Fort Knox for my retirement gold.
Kind of.
But how does this custodian fit into all this? Are they the ones running the depository?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
The custodian doesn't actually run the depository,
Okay.
but they play a pretty crucial role.
All right.
They act as like a secure intermediary between you and your gold.
Okay.
They handle all the administrative tasks of your account.
Mm-hmm.
They ensure all transactions comply with IRS rules, and they facilitate the buying and selling of gold within your IRA
Okay.
based on your instructions.
So it sounds like a custodian is absolutely essential.
They are.
What are the chances of messing things up with the IRS if I try to do this myself?
Pretty high, I would say.
Really?
The IRS rules around self-directed IRAs are very specific, and even a small misstep
Okay.
can have significant tax consequences.
Oof.
So having a knowledgeable custodian can really help you avoid those pitfalls.
Okay, so custodian check.
Yeah.
It can't be all sunshine and rainbows, though, right?
Right.
What are the downsides?
Well, one potential downside is that choosing the wrong custodian can be a costly mistake.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you're entrusting someone with a significant portion of your retirement savings.
Right.
And if they're not reputable or reliable, it could be disastrous.
Yeah. So what should I be on the lookout for?
Okay.
What are the red flags?
Well, first and foremost, you want to look for a custodian with a solid track record and a reputation for transparency and integrity. So do your research, read reviews,
Yeah.
and make sure they're registered with the IRS and other relevant regulatory bodies,
Got it.
like FINRA.
So reputation is key.
Yes.
What else?
Well, fees
Okay, yeah.
are another crucial consideration.
Makes sense.
Custodians charge for their services, and those fees can vary widely.
Right.
So you'll want to compare costs across different custodians and make sure you understand their fee structure completely.
Yeah, I can see how those fees could really eat into your returns if you're not careful.
Absolutely.
Are there any other limitations I should be keeping in mind?
One thing to remember is that while the custodian ensures the security of your gold,
Okay.
they are the ones holding it.
Right.
So that means there might be delays or restrictions if you decide to sell your gold
Mm-hmm.
or take physical possession of it.
Okay.
And some custodians even have limitations on the specific types and forms of gold you can hold.
So there's a trade-off between security and liquidity.
Exactly.
You gain peace of mind knowing your gold is safe. Right.
But you might have to jump through some hoops if you need to access it quickly.
Exactly. It's important to weigh those pros and cons carefully
Yeah.
and make sure a gold IRA aligns with your personal needs and your investment style.
Right.
You might also want to consider alternatives,
Okay.
like gold-backed securities within a traditional IRA, if the custodian limitations are a deal breaker for you.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So before I even start thinking about specific custodians,
Yeah,
I need to figure out if a gold IRA is even right for me.
absolutely.
So what are the main pros and cons I should be weighing here?
Well, one of the key advantages of a gold IRA is diversification.
Okay.
Gold has historically acted as a hedge against inflation.
Hmm.
And it can potentially provide some stability to your portfolio
Okay.
during times of economic uncertainty.
Got it.
But on the flip side, gold can also be volatile
Right.
in the short term.
Okay.
And as we've discussed, those custodian fees can add up.
So it's a potential hedge against inflation.
Yeah, but it's not a get-rich-quick scheme.
No.
I guess it all comes down to your individual goals and risk tolerance, right?
Absolutely. There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Right.
You need to consider your overall retirement plan, your comfort level with volatility,
Yeah.
and how hands-on you want to be with your investments.
Okay.
But if you do decide to move forward, choosing a custodian is a critical decision.
All right. So let's say I've done my homework
Okay.
and I'm ready to take the plunge.
Right.
What are the key things I should look for when evaluating different custodians?
Well, as we discussed, reputation and track record are paramount.
Okay.
So dig deep into their history. How long have they been in business?
Yeah.
What do their customer reviews say?
Right.
Are there any red flags,
Yeah.
like complaints or regulatory actions?
Got it. Reputation is key.
Yes,
What about those fees we were talking about?
absolutely. Fees are crucial.
Okay.
Don't be shy about requesting a detailed breakdown of all potential charges,
Oh.
account setup, storage, transaction processing, annual maintenance, everything.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, remember, those fees can really add up over time
Yeah.
and eat into your potential returns.
Transparency is so important.
Absolutely.
I'm also curious about the storage aspect.
Mhm.
What should I be asking about the depositories they use?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Don't just take their word for it when they say their depositories are secure.
Okay.
Inquire about the specific security measures in place.
Like what?
Things like surveillance systems, alarm systems, on-site security personnel.
Got it.
And very importantly, make sure your gold is fully insured
Oh, right. Yeah.
while it's in storage,
Okay.
protected against theft damage or even natural disasters.
Location check.
Hmm.
Okay. What about the actual investment options?
Another great question.
Yeah.
Not all custodians offer the same range of investment options.
Right.
So make sure the custodian you choose aligns with your specific goals.
Okay.
Do you want to invest in a variety of gold coins and bars?
Mm-hmm.
Are you interested in other precious metals like silver, platinum, or palladium?
Right. I need to make sure they offer the specific types of gold that I'm interested in.
Absolutely.
What about customer service? Is that
Yeah.
something I should be factoring in?
Absolutely. You're potentially going to be working with this custodian for many years.
Right.
So you want to make sure they provide responsive and knowledgeable customer support.
Okay.
Do they have a dedicated team to answer your questions?
Mm-hmm.
Can you easily reach them by phone, email, or online chat?
So basically, I should treat this like any other important financial decision.
Yes.
Do my research,
Mm-hmm.
ask the right questions,
Yes.
and make sure I feel 100% comfortable with the custodian I choose.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to shop around and compare different custodians.
Right.
And remember, a reputable custodian will be transparent about their services, fees, and procedures.
Okay.
They should welcome your questions and be willing to provide detailed information.
Okay, so let's imagine I found a custodian that checks all the boxes. What are the final steps involved in actually setting up a gold IRA?
Well, most reputable custodians will have a pretty straightforward process for opening an account.
Oh, okay.
They'll guide you through the necessary paperwork,
Mm-hmm.
which will include a custodial agreement outlining all the terms and conditions,
Okay.
fees, storage details, procedures for buying, selling, and eventually distributing your gold.
Got it.
Read everything carefully before you sign on the dotted line.
Okay, so read everything thoroughly.
Yes.
Don't rush.
Hmm.
Make sure I'm comfortable with all the details.
Right.
Anything else I should be keeping in mind during this final stage?
Yes. Don't forget to verify the custodian's credentials.
Okay.
Make sure they're registered with the IRS
Mm-hmm.
and any other relevant regulatory bodies like FINRA.
Got it.
A good custodian will be patient and happy to address any concerns you might have.
So do your research.
Mm-hmm.
Choose a reputable custodian.
Yeah.
Read all the paperwork carefully.
Yes.
Ask lots of questions. And then I'm officially on my way to a golden retirement.
Well, not quite that simple,
Okay.
but you're definitely on the right track.
All right.
A gold IRA is a long-term investment.
Right.
And like any investment, there are risks involved.
Sure.
So you'll need to continue to monitor its performance,
Mm-hmm.
keep an eye on those fees,
Yeah.
and make adjustments as needed.
Solid advice. Welcome back. So In part one, we really got into like all the details of gold IRAs,
Mm-hmm.
the rules, the custodians, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
But now I kind of want to zoom out a little bit
Okay.
and look at the bigger picture.
Sure.
What's happening in the gold market right now?
Oh.
What's driving those price swings?
It's a fascinating landscape right now.
Okay.
We've seen gold prices on a bit of a roller coaster ride in recent years,
Yeah, for sure.
influenced by a confluence of factors from global economic trends to geopolitical events.
When I think of gold, I think of it as like a safe haven. Like
Oh.
when the economy is shaky
Okay.
or there's a lot of uncertainty, people flock to gold. Is that accurate?
It's definitely a common perception,
Okay.
and there's historical evidence to support it.
Okay.
When traditional investments like stocks and bonds become volatile,
Right.
gold often holds its value or even increases in value as investors seek stability.
So walk me through some of those key factors driving the gold market.
Right.
What should I be paying attention to if I'm considering investing in gold?
Well, inflation is always a key driver.
Right.
Remember that period in 2021 and 2022 when inflation was soaring around the world?
Oh, yeah.
Gold prices rose sharply during that time
Okay.
as investors sought to protect their purchasing power.
Makes sense when everything else is getting more expensive. Gold starts to look pretty appealing.
Right.
What about interest rates? I know those have been in the news a lot lately, too.
Interest rates play a significant role.
Okay.
Generally, when interest rates are low, gold becomes more attractive.
Okay.
This is because the opportunity cost of holding gold, which doesn't generate interest,
Right.
it is lower when interest rates are low.
So if I'm keeping my money in a savings account, earning next to nothing in interest, I might as well buy some gold instead.
That's the line of thinking for some investors.
Okay.
Of course, it's not that straightforward,
Right.
and there are other factors to consider.
Yeah.
But historically, there's been an inverse relationship between interest rates and gold prices.
Okay. So inflation and interest rates are on my radar.
Yeah.
What else should I be watching for?
Geopolitical events can have a major impact.
Okay.
Think back to February 2022 when Russia invaded Ukraine.
Oh, yeah.
Gold prices surged as investors worried about the global consequences of the conflict.
So uncertainty and instability
Yeah.
often translate into higher gold prices.
It's a common pattern.
Okay.
When the world feels like a riskier place,
Right.
people look for assets that are perceived as safe and stable.
Mm-hmm.
Gold has played that role for centuries.
Okay, so inflation, interest rates, geopolitical turmoil, all things to keep in mind. What about the U.S. dollar?
Yeah.
Does that have any influence on gold prices?
Absolutely. Gold is priced in U.S. dollars.
Okay.
So the strength or weakness of the dollar can have a significant impact.
Okay.
When the dollar weakens,
Mm-hmm.
gold becomes more affordable for buyers using other currencies,
Right.
potentially driving up demand.
So if the dollar's down, gold might be up.
That's often the case.
Okay.
But as with everything in economics,
Right.
there are nuances and complexities to consider.
It sounds like I need to pay attention to a lot of different moving parts.
There are.
Is there anything else I should be factoring in?
Well, central banks are major players in the gold market.
Okay.
They hold vast reserves of gold,
Mm-hmm.
and their buying and selling activity can influence prices.
Okay.
In recent years, many central banks,
Right.
particularly in emerging markets,
Yeah.
have been increasing their gold holdings.
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
Some people see it as a sign of distrust in the global financial system.
It's certainly an interesting development to watch.
Yeah.
Central banks are typically very strategic in their investment decisions,
Mm-hmm.
so their actions can send signals to the market.
It sounds like there are a lot of different forces
Mhm.
pushing and pulling on the gold market.
That's the nature of global markets.
Yeah.
There's always an interplay of factors influencing asset prices.
Right.
That's why it's so important to do your research
Mm-hmm.
and understand the dynamics at play.
So how do I make sense of all of this?
Well,
If I'm considering investing in gold, what are some signs that it might be a good time to buy or to sell?
predicting market movements with certainty is impossible,
Of course. Yeah.
but there are certain indicators you can watch for.
Okay.
For example, if inflation starts to heat up again,
Mhm.
or if there's a major geopolitical event that creates uncertainty,
Mm-hmm.
those could be signals that gold prices might rise.
So keep an eye on the news headlines
Yeah.
and economic reports.
Exactly. Stay informed about global trends and events that could impact the gold market.
Okay.
And remember, investing in gold, like any investment, carries risks.
Right.
There's no guarantee of returns,
Sure.
and prices can fluctuate.
So don't bet the farm on gold
Right.
and always do your research.
Exactly.
What about long-term trends? Is
Yeah.
gold still considered a good long-term investment?
Gold has historically held its value over the long term,
Okay.
serving as a hedge against inflation and economic downturns,
Hmm.
but there are no guarantees.
Right.
And it's always best to diversify your portfolio
Okay.
and consult with a financial advisor before making any major investment decisions.
Solid advice. Okay, so we've covered kind of the macroeconomic
Yeah,
factors driving gold prices.
right.
Let's shift gears now
Okay.
and talk about the different types of gold you can actually invest in.
Uh,
Is it as simple as just buying any gold coin or bar? We've talked about setting up a gold IRA and what's going on in the gold market, but I'm curious about the gold itself. When I picture investing in gold, I think of those shiny gold bars they have at Fort Knox.
right?
Is that what people are buying for their IRAs?
Well, it's not quite as simple as just gold.
Okay.
You actually have some choices to make about what kind of gold to buy for your IRA.
So it's not just one size fits all.
Right.
There are different types of gold for investing.
Yes, you can choose between gold coins, gold bars, or even a combination of both.
Okay.
Each has its own characteristics and considerations.
Okay. So coins versus bars.
Yeah.
What are the key differences?
Gold coins often have a collectible aspect to them.
Okay.
Many feature intricate designs and historical significance,
Right.
so they can carry a premium due to their numismatic value, meaning their value as collectibles.
So it's like the difference between buying a regular gold ring and a rare antique gold coin.
That's a great analogy.
Okay.
Coins can offer potential appreciation beyond just the gold content itself,
Okay.
but keep in mind they can also come with higher premiums and transaction costs compared to bars.
Okay. So there's a trade-off.
What about bars? What makes them appealing to investors?
Gold bars are generally more cost-effective,
Okay.
especially when you're buying in larger quantities.
Mm-hmm.
They have lower fabrication costs and typically smaller premiums over the spot price of gold.
So if I'm simply looking for the most straightforward way to buy gold, bars are the way to go.
Often, yes.
Okay.
They offer a more direct way to gain exposure to the price of gold without the added considerations of numismatic value.
That makes sense, but how do I know which coins or bars are actually allowed in a gold IRA?
Right.
It can't just be any gold off the street, right?
You're right, there are rules.
Okay.
The IRS has specific guidelines about what types of gold can be held in a gold IRA.
Okay.
The gold must meet certain fineness requirements, meaning it has to be of a certain purity.
Okay.
Generally, at least 99.5% pure gold.
Okay, so purity is crucial.
Yeah.
What else does the IRS look for?
The coins or bars must also be produced by a recognized refiner or mint that meets IRS standards.
There's a list of specific coins like American Gold Eagles or Canadian Gold Maple Leafs that are pre-approved for gold IRAs.
Okay.
Your custodian can give you a full list of eligible coins and bars.
So it's like there's a gold IRA approved list I need to stick to.
It's more about ensuring quality and authenticity.
Got it.
The IRS wants to make sure you're investing in legitimate gold that meets their standards.
Makes sense. So purity, reputable source, IRS approval. Anything else I should be thinking about when choosing gold for my IRA?
Well, here's an interesting angle to consider: the ethical dimension.
Okay.
Many investors today are paying attention to the environmental and social impact of their investments, and gold is no exception.
Right. I've heard about, concerns about pollution, deforestation, even human rights abuses associated with some gold mining operations.
Right.
Is there a way to know if the gold I'm buying is ethically sourced?
It's a great question, and it's an area that's still evolving.
Okay.
There are certifications and standards emerging that aim to promote responsible gold mining practices. So you can look for those certifications and ask your custodian about their due diligence process for sourcing gold.
So reputable custodians should be able to tell me where their gold comes from
Yeah,
and what steps they take to ensure it's ethically sourced.
absolutely. Transparency is key.
Okay.
You have the right to know where your investment dollars are going and what impact they're having.
Wow. This has been incredibly insightful. I feel like I have a much better grasp on the world of gold IRAs now.
I'm glad to hear that it's a complex topic, but it's definitely worth understanding if you're considering adding gold to your retirement portfolio.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into gold IRAs. We've covered the basics, the market dynamics, the different types of gold, even the ethical considerations if any of this has piqued your interest. I encourage you to do your own research and talk to a financial advisor to see if a gold IRA is right for you. Thanks for joining us on the